Hi, I'm Susan Tsu. I'm the costume designer for the Golden Dragon.
All right. And what was designing for the Golden Dragon like in this experience?
Well, I love doing this piece because I had no idea how I was going to do it, and after about 40 years of designing, that becomes a really interesting challenge. There are 48 scenes. People become characters instantaneously and switch back and forth between lots of characters, and to me, that's a very interesting thing to do.
Cool. So how in this show did you handle all of the quick changes that people had to do? Is there a certain technique or how you make the costumes to make sure that they're easily transitioned?
Well, Carla and I talked about the fact that we need the play to keep moving forward, and then at some point we would find an iconic piece, the core piece that would help, say, this is the cricket versus the cook, or this is the man in the striped shirt versus the boy with the toothache. So we've found easy to put on and take off costume pieces for the actors.
All right, so the central scene in the show that keeps coming, that everyone keeps coming back to, is the kitchen scene where they're all dressed as cooks. So how did you organize those outfits so they were all uniform but at the same time individualized?
Well, actually, I made a choice to have a couple of the cook elements be the same on everybody, so that I was actually making a statement about the sameness of everybody while individualizing some of the other costumes a little bit more. But in fact, you're right. There are a couple of cooks that have bibs on their aprons. Some are cleaner, some are dirtier. The clothing that's underneath the aprons is different. I spent a summer in Shanghai, and one of the very interesting things about Chinese people is that they're very practical, and I noticed during that summer that a lot of the men in the 101-degree heat didn't wear pants. They had on their underwear, and so a couple of the male cooks have just underwear on underneath their aprons. There are cooks that have head ties on, to give just a slight hint of Orientalism, slightly Japanese, even though we don't have Japanese. But one of the stereotypes that we're playing with here is that in the West, Asian people have been all lumped together forever, and nobody knows the difference or really cares. So I've sort of taken that approach with the costumes. There are Japanese costumes, there are Chinese references, there are Vietnamese references.
So the two characters of the cricket and the ant are probably the more abstract characters, so how did you go about costuming them?
What's interesting about their story is that it's really quite, it's a story that's often told in the Orient and in, the West as a kind of story that has a moral to it, that if you don't save and if you don't work hard for the future, you will be left starving. But the story has been turned, really, in a way, to become something that is like a dominant person or culture over a non-dominant person or culture. And to me, there's a lot of real pain in this story. I commiserate a lot, and in fact, a lot of what is said about the cricket has been stereotypically thought about Asian women, Chinese women, and so on. So I really wanted there to be an element of beauty to the cricket, of a certain whimsicality, and an unmistakable Asianness to it as well. So without telling you what those costumes are, they are different. They've taken a step into a different headspace when designing those costumes.